Hello friends, welcome to my face. Still testing my camera tech setup. I have been promising for a very long time, since last year sometime, I want to start doing weekly live streams here on my YouTube channel, and getting the tech aspect of it all is just it's exhausting. It's exhausting and expensive. Anyway, working on it. This is another step. So, I'm using the software on my computer. That's why I kind of keep glancing to, like, is it working? Is it working? Are we on? So, stay tuned. Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. But I thought I would test this out because I'm going to do an unboxing video. I have Simon's June 2023 card kit. I always have to remember what month. Stay tuned. I will be also doing a giveaway because I actually ended up getting 2 kits. So I will, since I'm talking to you guys, when I get to the giveaway portion, this is important because it has been nuts with scammers and spam and just all the sorts of things. And this applies to most other makers in this sphere when they're doing giveaways. There will be directions for the giveaway, and I will have a link in the description box directly below the video. I will never contact you, respond to your comments, whether it be on this YouTube video or Facebook, wherever. I will never respond saying, you've won, message me on whatever the current spammer platform is, WhatsApp, and there's so many of them. I won't. I also will not ask for money. That is another thing they try to do, is getting you to send them money. They want your personal information and they want money. I will not do that. They clone our accounts. They make them look like us. It's not. It's not. If you click on my username, when I respond to comments, everything, it will take you directly to my YouTube channel. So I want to say all this now because I see this, and this is why I've put off doing giveaways for a while, because it's kind of exhausting trying to stay ahead of the scammers, and then I'm getting emails and messages from people saying, you said I won, you didn't. So that's how that works. There will be, I'm going to link to a document I've set up for people to enter that only I have access to, and the winner will be chosen from there, and then we'll go from there. And then I will update the description when the giveaway ends on this video, and it will say, so if and when, it's pretty much guaranteed going to happen, scammers start commenting and replying, you've won, meh. No, I try to keep ahead of it. I always try to delete and block those accounts, but I'm just trying to be proactive. So that's that bit of it. And stay tuned for hopefully live streams coming soon. Everything's still filming. That's one of the tech issues I've been having, is things just work for a minute and then everything shuts down, and it's exhausting. So we will keep powering through. I'm gonna do the magic of switching cameras, and then we're gonna do the unboxing of the kit. And yeah, let's just, oh, exciting. Okay, so here is the Simon Says Stamp June 2023 card kit. Let's get that out of the way. Alrighty. So this is the Etched Greetings card kit. So you get one of Simon's mesh bags. This will fit the contents of the kit and then some. Love their mesh bags. Raved about them. I use them to store all sorts of things. Love them. Candy, as is tradition. Perfect. And then we've got the fabulous Etched Greetings stamp set. huge greetings. Like this one's like enormous. I love the florals. This is a really pretty set. There is a die set that does coordinate with this. It's not part of the kit. It is separate. I will have links like I always do to those things. So we've got the stamp set. I love like there's thank you sentiments, but there's different like just generic. You got happy birthday, sending love and hugs, miss you, thank you, thinking of you, hello there. Love it. So there's that. There's this large thanks wafer die with the outline. I'm kind of excited about that too. Thank you cards are what I make the most of. So I was like, yes, yes. So get that. I'm extra excited about these. I've really been getting into like the ephemera and stuff. There have been a couple kits now, and I've purchased extras because you guys know I like to hoard this stuff. But you get an entire pack of the organic layers ephemera from Tim Holtz Idea-ology, and I'm excited to play with these because there's so many pretty ones. Like there's just tons, and they're all cardstock, so like nice quality, and literally you get tons and tons. There's birds and butterflies, mushrooms, love, 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 and then just all these little bits and pieces. See, aren't they pretty? They're so pretty. Eggs. They're just... love it. So you get a whole pack of that. So exciting. For me anyway. I'm excited. There is 12 sheets. This is double-sided Crafter's Companion Delightful Daisies pattern paper. This stuff's really pretty too. Oh, you can't go wrong with daisies. They really are the cheerfulest little flower. So you get 12 sheets of this, and it's really, really pretty. Oh, so pretty. So pretty. Love. Love. So you get those. You get some Simon foam squares. People have been asking me about these too. I've been using these for however long now. Love them. The colors will vary depending, like, yeah, it doesn't, and to me it doesn't really matter. There's black ones, there's white ones. These are the thicker ones. There's thick ones like this, and then there's ones that are half as thick. I use them all interchangeably. These are the big ones. There's also the smaller ones. Love them. And I always love when I get extras in kits, because I was like, yep, I'm going to use those up. So you get that. You get a sheet of Simon's. Is there a name for this one? It's one of their pre-printed sentiment. Reverse gratitude sentiment strips, and these are one of my most used. I have repurchased the gratitude and the reverse gratitude more than once because I use them so much. So you get a sheet of this. These are printed. These are toner printed, so you can foil them. You get a whole pack of foil sheets, so you can stick the foil over this and run it through either your Mink or your laminator, and that will foil them in gold. I honestly don't do that very often with these. I just like using them as is, but you get a whole pack of foil transfer sheets to play with. Another thing you can do with these, if you don't want to mess around or if you don't have a laminator or a Mink, you can use adhesive like red line tape. I'll show that. Simon has two different widths. There's the narrow red line tape. This is like 1/8 of an inch. And then there's the 1/4 inch red line tape. Score tape will work too. But you could put the strips of tape down, like say this is your background or whatever. Put down some strips of tape, you know, create a little pattern if you want, or a border or whatever. And then you can press this foil into it and burnish it really, really well with like a bone folder, etc. And then peel up the foil and you'll have a foil, strips of foil. So it works like that too. So there's ways to use these, and you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with foil. So I got that. And then you get one of Simon's, this is the bronze, metallic bronze envelopes. I love Simon's metallic envelopes. They're so beautiful. So beautiful. So I got that. And then you get a pack of a sheet of Simon's matte gold cardstock. Another thing I have purchased multiples of because I use it all the time. You also get green leaf cardstock. Ooh, Simon's vellum. You get a sheet of their vellum. There's Simon's vellum's 40 pound, so it's a good weight. And then another favorite. This is like all of my favorite things, literally. It's like, ooh, favorite, one of my favorite greens. Nina Desert Storm cardstock, also a favorite. New favorite, because it's pretty. Anyway, that's the kit in a nutshell. Like I always do, I will have links to the kit. There's the subscription option. I'll have a link to that. I'll have links to everything available individually. That will all be below. Now, giveaway time info, and stay tuned, because after this, keep watching, I'll show cards. I'm not even sure yet what I'm going to make. I'm like all over the place and dealing with tech and all that stuff. However, I have a brand new kit to give away to one of you. And because there is space in the box, I am going to fill this box with other products. There's going to be some new stamp sets, maybe some accessories, a couple pins. I've got some things piled up because, like I said, I haven't done a giveaway in quite some time. So you're going to get the kit plus whatever fun little things I'm going to include. I'll also include maybe one of the cards I make. And the giveaway for now, this giveaway is only open to Canadian and US residents because of shipping. I'm going to pay for the shipping for this, and it's just easier right now. Down the road, I'll do another giveaway for international people. It'll probably be like a gift card or something. But for now, Canadian and US residents only. There will be a link directly below the video. I will have a Google Drive document that you can fill out. You just put in your name and address. So obviously, if your address is outside of Canada or the US, you will not be eligible to win. And we will use I will choose a random winner in a week from this video going live. And yeah, I will mail this out to you. So that's all you have to do is fill out that document. Simple, easy, and like I said at the beginning, no need for downloading other apps or whatever ridiculous scheme the spammers come up with next. None of that applies. My video, my giveaway, Google document directly below. And I do not keep your personal info. I don't share it with anyone, that sort of a thing. Obviously, it's just for the giveaway, and that's it. And then I think that covers the giveaway portion. And I would appreciate also, of course, if you guys, leave a thumbs up and comment as well. It's always very appreciated. And yeah, stay tuned. Keep watching to see what I make with this card kit. Okay, so I went a bit mixed media with these cards, and yeah, I had fun. So the first thing I did was I die cut a bunch of scraps of black cardstock using that Fancy Thanks wafer die. I used just the word and not the outline. And then after I had die cut them, I stacked 3 layers together with craft tacky glue. And my craft tacky glue is in one of these little Gina K precision bottles. I'll have a link to those. I've been doing this for several months now, and the Craft Tacky Glue has been working great in this bottle. I am really liking it. So, stacked my sentiments together. Then I took that Desert Storm cardstock and I cut it in half and then cut it in half again. So I'm going to have 2 card front panels. And at this point I had a rough idea of what I was going to do, but I wasn't totally sure. I wanted to use these big floral images from the set, of course. And then I wanted to use some of the ephemera. And I've mentioned this before. Ephemera is something I have always struggled with. One, because I want to hoard it. I do. I like spreading it out and looking at it and then putting it back. But I'm working on, using the things. So I kind of went through the pack, and there's so many. There's so many to choose from. So I chose the ones that just stood out to me for the moment, and I chose a couple of the pattern papers as well. And then I decided to cut down these panels because right now they're A2 size, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I trimmed them down to like 3 3/4 by 5, kind of my go-to size for card fronts. And then after I trimmed them down, I put them into my mini Misty, and I'm going to stamp the florals with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And my original plan was to just stamp them and then add all the things, because these have so much detail that you don't need to color them. Like, they're gorgeous. But I was, looking at my distress watercolors, and I was like, why not? So I decided to do very, very simple coloring with my distress watercolor pencils. Now, I did a video last year on this palette. These are watercolor pencils. I've just put the shavings into a Tim Holtz little palette here. I will link to that video explaining and showing exactly how I did this at the end of this one, so you can check that out if you haven't seen it. So it's just the shavings, and I'd added water, and then that made them look the way they look. And then all I do is swirl either my little water brush, which I'm doing here, or a wet paintbrush in it, and paint with them. That's it. Super simple. I love it. I've got all the colors at my fingertips, and it just works. So I'm doing this on Neenah Desert Storm cardstock, which is not, this is not watercolor paper. This is not heavy stock like I show. This can only handle so much. So I am not layering. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm literally just picking up a bit of color and scribbling it on. And that's all you need to do. Honestly, when I did this, I was like, oh, and then it gave me more ideas for future cards. So stay tuned. Hopefully I'll get to it. But just added a bit of color. Really simple. It just gave it that little extra something. You could totally just leave it because, like I said, it's just stamping these images in black. They're look at it. It's gorgeous. I love it. But adding the color gives it a little extra something. And because I'm just going very light-handed with it, one, because of the cardstock itself, but this also works nicely because the distress watercolor pencils are very highly pigmented, and the color generally, well, it does. It sits on top of whatever you stamp. So it can obscure stamp lines, that sort of a thing. However, because I'm applying it just very, very lightly, not using very much water, not using very much color, it's not really covering up any of the stamp lines, so you still see all the detail, but it's just got that nice little bit of color. So I was quite happy with, my little impromptu decision to pull these out and use them on here. And I do also have a playlist using the Distress Watercolor pencils. I will link to that at the end of this video as well. And yeah, I did just quick, simple, easy, didn't even fully fill it in, just scribble on some color. And that's it. I just went with colors that went with the pattern papers and the ephemera I chose. So back to the pattern papers, which I really like these pattern papers. So I trimmed them down, or trimmed a piece from the pattern paper down with my paper trimmer. And then I tore it. Gives it that nice little torn edge. And then I'm going to add some of that little ephemera. And yeah, this is I can, base level mixed media. Trust me, when I was making these, I was like, ooh, I could get my paints out. I could, get some stencil. Oh, so many things. But just baby steps, man. So I just adhered and tried not to overthink it. You know, I added my pattern paper, added that piece of ephemera, cut off the piece hanging over the edge, and then I was like, let's add that little leftover bit to the top there. Why not? So did that, trimmed that off as well with my scissors, and just kept going, you know, just enjoying the process. So like I said, I had a rough idea of what I was going to do. I pulled out some of my baker's twine, and I decided to wrap that around this card front as well. So wrap that around, and then I've mentioned this many times over the years, a must-have tool in your craft stash is a good little pair of reverse tweezers. They just come in handy for a million things, but especially if you like to work with twine or ribbons or anything like that, because it's like a little extra pair of hands. So I use the reverse tweezers to hold the knot while I make the bow, and then trim off the excess. I adhered the ephemera butterfly, and then that card front's almost complete. So with the other one, same idea, just a slightly different layout since I used the different floral stamp. So I trimmed down the pattern paper I wanted to use, tore off the edge, and then I'm going to adhere that, and then adhere another piece of ephemera. And I was very zoomed in at this point. I wasn't even paying attention because I was just in the zone. I was just doing my thing, crafting along, but honestly, this was the only workable space I had anyway. I had all the contents of the kit just spread out around me, so I'm working in, you know, the typical square foot usable space, as is tradition, you know? It's just what you do. So, adhered the pattern paper, the ephemera, and then I'm going to add baker's twine to this one as well, of course. So I just hold it, wrap it around, you know, 2 or 3 times, and then same thing. Use my little reverse tweezers after I, you know, wrap it around, start the knot, put the reverse tweezers in place, and then make my bow. Get everything kind of the way I want it, start pulling it tight, then remove the tweezers. So that little hack has just come in very, very handy over the last however many years. I forget when I first got my first pair of little reverse tweezers, but massive game changer. But anyway, adhered my little ephemera birdie. That one I popped up with a foam square, and then of course I'm going to add splatter. This is what I say. It's a little mixed media, just a little bit. So put those into my splat box, and then I grab my white gouache, put that on my little palette, and I've got my little fan brush, and I get my fan brush wet with just clean water. Add that to the gouache to thin it out enough so that I can splatter it, and then I just splattered all over these backgrounds, and I set those aside to dry. So got my little bit of splatter going on, got my pattern paper, some ephemera, some baker's twine, all the good things. And then my card bases are going to be top folding A2 white note cards, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I had cleaned off those floral stamps, and I'm just going to stamp them with Simon's Positively Saturated Inks. So for the blue card, it's going to be Simon's Marine Positively Saturated Ink, and I'm going to stamp that just like so. And then I'm going to use up the piece of pattern paper that I had ripped for the card front. So I decided to just adhere that to the inside of the card. And I originally was going to stamp my sentiment like on top of the pattern paper, but instead I was like, oh wait, I've got those little strips of that Nina Desert Storm cardstock that I trimmed down from the card fronts. So I was like, perfect. Stuck those in my Misty, and I'm going to stamp those with one of the little companion sentiments from that stamp set in the kit. So I lined that up, and I'm going to stamp that with that same VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink. And I'm going to do that twice. So got it lined up, and then stamped that, and then did it a second time on that second little strip of cardstock. So that was just perfect. Love when that happens. So got it stamped. And then with the second card, I'm doing the same thing with the other floral image. Again, just slightly different layout. And this one I'm inking up with Simon's Lemonade ink, which on camera looks more normal. In my photos, yet again, it looks neon. It's not. I just am not very good at taking photos of my cards. It's just something that I struggle with. And especially with yellow. Yellow is finicky. Thankfully, not just for me. Other people have said the same thing, but I don't know. Anywho, it looks much more cohesive in real life than it does in the finished photos. But anywho, got that other little strip of pattern paper adhered, and then adhered the sentiments to the insides of these cards as well. And yes, I will write right over those stamped florals, because people have asked that when I, kind of take up the whole space on the inside of the card. I'm fine with it. I will write right over it. I don't care. This is all just kind of gravy. It's just extra. It just adds to the outsides of the cards. It's just something I've been doing since I started making cards. I always finish the insides. And whatever I put in them, it's with the intention that I will write over it. So for the die cut sentiments, I decided to pop these up because of the baker's twine. I don't normally do this because it's a little bit finicky. This wasn't too bad because these sentiments have like thicker areas. So I just trimmed down those little foam squares with my scissors into little strips and stuck those on the back of these die cut sentiments and then popped them into place. So not only does it adhere them nicely over the baker's twine, but it also gives it that extra like dimension because it kind of gives them that floating look. So stuck all those into place. I've super sped up this because again, it was just a little bit finicky, but not too bad. If these sentiments were more detailed, more handwritten looking, etc., I wouldn't have bothered. I would have just glued them down and stuck something heavy on top of them, and called it a day. So then I used some green leaf cardstock, the same cardstock that comes in the kit, but I just went for my scraps because I don't use full sheets of cardstock if I don't need to. I go for the scraps first. And I stamped another little companion sentiment from the set. And then I pulled out a circle punch. You guys haven't seen me use punches in years. I got rid of all my punches except for my circle punches. Those, because I still use them, usually more for like labels and random things like that. But yeah, I used a little 3/4 inch circle punch. I do have a link to this. This is an EK Success one. And yeah, stamped the sentiment, punched out. You could use a circle die cut, but a circle punch is 10 times faster and it was perfect. So die cut or punched those out, adhered those with sentiments, and then to adhere these card fronts to the card base, I'm going to cover the back of these panels with Simon's Big Mama foam tape. So it gives them that little bit of dimension that I love without adding a ton of extra bulk. And I especially like using this when I've used something like baker's twine because it's a little more difficult to use liquid adhesive when baker's twine is involved because it creates, that bump. So using a little bit of foam tape just makes everything sit nice. So adhered those, and then like always, like the broken record I am, you can always stop here, but I'm still going to add some bling because I have enough for 5 million cards and 3 extra lifetimes. So I pulled out some Pink Fresh Studios glitter drops because those are just my current little obsession. I've got the gold glitter drops and the aqua glitter drops. So stuck those in my little trays and then arranged those onto both of these card fronts. Just added a few, not too many. It just gives it that little extra, that little extra sparkle. So once I was happy with the placement of these, I'm going to adhere them into place using my little embellishment wand and the craft tacky glue. And then once those are adhered, these cards will be complete. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, in the description box below this video, I will have links to everything I use. There'll be a full supply list. I'll link to the kit, everything separately, everything I used, everything I showed, etc., etc. All that will be linked below. I will also link to my blog post because I'll have the pictures in the blog post, picture links to all the supplies. The giveaway info, of course, will be directly below the video that I explained at the beginning. And then at the very end here, I will link to that Distress Palette video and my playlist for that. And I think that covers all the bases, hopefully. As always, thank you all so very much for taking the time to watch my videos. I very much appreciate that. Thank you for thumbs upping and commenting. It helps. It literally helps. It tells those robot overlords that you guys like what you see and, just all the things dealing with algorithms and all that fun stuff. So thank you all for that, and subscribe if you haven't. I'd love to have you, and I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye.